How do you recover from a commercial flop?
It was a very tough weekend for us. We had been spoiled by all these other films.
Legendary director John Musker, known for The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and Hercules, spent years with his partner Ron Clements crafting their passion project. It was Treasure Planet, a space-themed adaptation of Treasure Island. As a sci-fi lover, Treasure Planet is one of my favorite Disney films. But when it hit theaters, it became one of Disney's biggest box office failures. So what went wrong?
Treasure Planet, we had a very tough time with. That's the other thing that comes into these things. You come out of a preview and the previews go well, then just trying to embellish and enhance what's there. But if the previews don't go well, then all hell can break loose. And so on Treasure Planet, we hadn't had a good preview. We had a bad preview, and it was right around 9/11. And so that may have colored it even a little bit. I mean, we're telling a story where armed people take over a vessel, and that had a different resonance when we were previewing it in 2001 than it had when we were working on it. That was part of the issue. But there are other things too. The character of Jim Hawkins in that movie, we wanted him to be a troubled youth who grew up without a father and needed a guy who really needed a father. And Long John Silver becomes this unlikely surrogate father. But how do we introduce Jim? How do we get us on his side, particularly if he is a sullen teenager? Those aren't the most likable people in the world. They're people that you like, shut up, you're annoying me, and you're too self-absorbed. So we wound up, because in the preview, the audience hadn't clicked with his character well enough, it seemed. And again, we were also just naive. It's a tough challenge with Disney features because often the challenge is to get fathers into the audience, and to a lesser extent to get boys in the audience. But fathers definitely are in that demographic: men, women, boys, girls. Men are the hardest ones, I would say, to get to come to the thing. Of course, we're telling a story that is not a romance. It was an action adventure. It was not a musical. And we were sitting there as we were watching the audience file in for the preview, and it was just one after another. A mother and her little daughter. This is not going to go well. And then it didn't go well. So we've been fighting an upstream battle anyway. But we ultimately wound up restructuring the opening, partly based on what I was suggesting, which was to give Jim a moment of exhilaration before coming down, so you could see him being happy about something before he sank into his depression almost. And I think we had a different way of putting over the idea that he was a fatherless kid. And we used to have a scene where he saw a father, and he saw a little kid who needed help with some kind of scooter or something like that. And Jim went to help him, but his dad was there, and he sort of, I got this, and he took care of it. And Jim saw this very wistfully. Here's a father and son really connecting in this father-son moment. And we had that for a while. And then because of these story changes we made, that scene went away. And Ron has always regretted us making that choice. He feels like we made the wrong choice, that there was a way we could have done it where we could have kept that scene and you would have gotten with Jim more emotionally by keeping it. And I think I was on the other side of that one, just feeling like, let's do this other way where we just get him going. And I think Ron didn't argue it as vociferous as he did after the fact. In hindsight, yeah, that was a mistake. I would say that was a challenge from a story point, is getting with a character who has arguably, if not unlikable characteristics, but the characteristics can be either off-putting or keeping you to remove.
I was rewatching the first act with my daughter, and I was also thinking the same, and I love that scene. I think that it's a wonderful balance that you really feel for the protagonist.
How come you're so smart, Dad?
I guess I take after you, Ethan.
Before discovering how Treasure Planet became a beloved cult classic, did you know you can get tons of free resources to boost your storytelling skills from writeforanimation.com? Our guides and templates cover everything from writing your award-winning short film to a handy checklist for preparing for that animation festival you wanted to attend. Plus, you'll get free screenwriting lessons delivered right to your inbox. Visit writeforanimation.com, click on the free stuff button, and start your screenwriting journey today. We may never know exactly why Treasure Planet didn't do well at the box office, but its amazing visuals, heartwarming story, and awesome characters have made it a cult favorite among animation fans.
Now, of course, I travel to all these festivals, with my short film and I meet these 22-year-old kids and I teach a little bit. And Treasure Planet is their favorite movie,
I'm very glad that it got to resonate with that younger generation.
Yeah, it's really been gratifying for me to hear this, because I remember when the film came out and Michael Eisner, sort of literally wrote off the film after the opening weekend. But Ron was off skiing that weekend, and I sort of had to take the brunt of its box office disappointment. And it was a very tough weekend for us. We had been spoiled by all these other films. Even when they were lesser successes, they were still to a certain degree. And this was like, you're writing it off and everything. Phone calls of condolences, which are always a mixed bag, because you're glad to hear from people, but it, you feel horrible. And even with Jeffrey Katzenberg, talked to him the week after, and he's like, okay, you got to get back on the horse in his own crazy Jeffrey way. Hey, just get back on and keep going. And that was nice to hear. I'm going to take it as sincere, even if it wasn't, because it was sort of heartening in a way. An interesting experience, though. Yeah, but I am glad now that I'm hearing some of this. You always on these movies, you have something in your head you're trying to communicate, whether or not, about the audience, about the character and the story. And, we're not making art movies that, like, I don't care if anybody gets it. If I get it, it's enough. No, I'm trying to make a movie that connects with an audience, and it's a mass entertainment. And if it doesn't connect with them, then we have failed.
I love this. We all dream of stories becoming big hits, but it's important to remember that box office success doesn't determine or measure our worth as artists. So keep focusing on your story, and once it's out there, I promise you the right people will find it. What do you think? What other animated movies failed at first but became a cult classic later? Tell me in the comments. One failure won't define your whole career, but these mistakes might be holding you back. Watch this video to learn the 3 mistakes most new screenwriters make and how to avoid them. I'm Pietro, this is Write for Animation, and I'll see you in the video.